So hello guys. This is my entry number 4 in what I've already decided to talk or to mention as a Venezuelan Girlie's Diary, entry number 4. That's the name of this episode. And this episode comes after the attack made by the United States of America over the capital of Venezuela, Caracas, and several points in La Guaira, I think so too. I just wanted to make this entry to share a little bit of my personal experience of it. And several points that we're going to be discussing today. As you can see in the screen, but today let's start with this first point. January 3rd, 2026 operation, personal experience. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more of my experience. Well, not more. I'm going to tell you about my experience because you don't know about it. I live in a area called El Cafetal in Caracas, suburban area. And the thing that we have nearest is the Air Force base called, or what we commonly call as La Carlota here. Okay. I was about to sleep at 12 a.m. Actually, I was sleeping, and due to personal experiences, I sleep with earplugs, which is something I hope I can speak about later on. Not in this episode, because the reason I sleep with earplugs is a very, very personal and disturbing one. But that's not the point of this video. So I put on my earplugs and took my sleeping tea, and I wanted to sleep that day. I began sleeping actually like at 12:30. Note to say, I am currently living with my grandmother and my uncle and aunt, who just recently arrived from abroad, against all odds because the fucking airspace is closed. And, well, it's actually very curious because the bomb that was heard around here was the one of La Carlota, and I didn't hear anything. Of course, I had the earplugs, but I woke up super startled because my uncle had like 6 hours already sleeping, and to see him up was like, okay, what's going on? Because this guy was literally snoring when I went to sleep, but a sound didn't, like this trend of sound. I didn't register any sound. It's not because I was muffled because of the earplugs, it's that I didn't register any sound. I think I woke up because of a spidey sense of sorts. And, a little bombing sounded at the distance. After I woke up, the buzzing of the planes and jets or whatever was throwing off the bombs, because of course in the videos we can see that there are mostly helicopters showing around. I haven't really dwelled on it because, I hope you can empathize with it. And yeah, we just heard the buzzing and other things maybe exploding in the distance, and it was havoc. My grandmother was actually in the restroom when everything happened. Everybody else was prepping to go to sleep except my uncle that was already asleep. And yeah, we were all woken up and startled and nervous, and my aunt began changing codes. I was like, I don't know what to do. I went to the safest place, or the one that is the furthest to the street in our house. As you can hear, my bedroom is beside the principal avenue, and I went to the front door, which is at the back. Is the closest and the safest space that we have in that context. And I went there, and I was urging them to go, but also my grandmother's room is the safest because it's not facing the street. They were there. I immediately, because you cannot inform yourself with regular channels like TV or anything, I turned on a second phone of mine and I put the channel Guanimba Digital in YouTube. And luckily, one of the hosts, Gaston, was there, and he was informing people, etc., of the sites that have been attacked, the videos that were resurfacing. But for about maybe 4 to 3 hours, we were in a state of nervousness, of shock, of trying to figure out what to do, people dealing with it. My grandmother actually was saying about like being aware of inconsequential stuff. And my own uncle, which is a foreigner, he was like, well, we have to get away of the windows. He was getting really frustrated because my aunt and my grandmother were speaking about something unrelated and inconsequential. I was actually away of them. But I can tell you for sure, 2 to 3 hours after, we were still in like a adrenaline state. I remember I was super tense and I was sweating so much until I wound down. Still, after some hours, could still hear the buzzing, and we will all get still when we heard cars, because the friction of the cars over pavement is really similar, very similar. But it's weird if you haven't heard it, because cars, you know what sounds, or part of the sounds is the friction against the street, the floor, the pavement. But with the airplanes, it's different. You just hear the buzzing, and it's like, okay. So we were trying to differentiate. We were really triggered. We were really like super hyper aware, and yeah, it was havoc. It was really havoc. And texting my friends, one that lives in the downtown of the city, recorded some bombings that she could see from her house and was publishing them through WhatsApp. And I kept messaging them to see what they had seen, etc. And I'm trying to recall, but it's really hard, guys. It's really hard, even though that it was 2 days ago. Well, what I can say is that when Trump tweeted that they had caught Maduro, was very surreal, at least for a person here living inside Venezuela. I think I haven't realized it yet. I think I haven't fully processed it. Or maybe I did, but I'm not celebrating it. My initial reaction wasn't celebrating it. I think none of us celebrated it here because we can't celebrate it. That's the truth of it. They only got him, but the whole structure is still in power. You have Diosdado Cabello still in power. You have the Rodriguez brothers still in power. Rodriguez siblings still in power. We have Vladimir Padrino Lopez still in power. So, okay, they took Maduro, now what? You know, actually, some few hours ago, I was listening to Julio Coco, and his theory was that the operation didn't go well. Actually, it was halted because they only got one, and Celia Flores, but they didn't get all of them. And of course, I can agree that it was a show of strength. It was a shock for the Venezuelan people because aside whatever person says that it's going to be like Iraq, like Afghanistan, or like whatever, we Venezuelans are not violent. We are not Muslims, and we don't have a war culture. Actually, we're really peaceful. We're really peaceful. And actually, the reaction was to stay indoors, check with friends and family. And well, some other videos are really, really comical. Like this video of this guy that there were the bombings in Fortetiuna and he was making caballitos with his motorcycle because he was happy about it. And I think there's a video of of a guy dressed as Elmo in the street, like dancing. I don't know if that's AI, but it's really comical. It's really comical, actually. It's like, it's a whole vibe. But that's it. I don't know. It's, we have a thing, and I think that's a blessing of Venezuelans that we joke around and trying to make it comical and funny, whatever, make jokes about it. But it's really complicated, very, very complicated. Like after that, yeah, to continue my story and to get to my point, like by 7 8 a.m. my grandmother, my aunt, my uncle went to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. Actually, I was hungover by not having slept, but I stayed awake because like it was already said that Trump was going to speak. And I was telling myself, I'm going to stay awake until Trump speaks. And I fell asleep when he was speaking. So, but yeah, everybody was in a state of shock. We wanted to see what was going on. And well, then he said that they were going to take control of the country. They are taking control of the country, and the operation was clean. That no Americans were deceased by the attack. Now the reports that, well, not the official reports of the Venezuelan regime, but like anonymous reports of medicals, etc., medical associations, they said that so far there have been 60 to 90 deceased people and also lots of wounded people. By some acquaintances accounts that live in Fortuna, there were like bullets thrown, glasses shattered because of the explosions, etc., and people that have been wounded. And was we got all that information there. Well, this one, the one I'm telling you, is from today, January 4th. But I think what it's salvageable of what think it's salvageable for my condition and my own personal circumstances is that the United States is taking control of the country, and that they hope Delcy Rodriguez collaborates and cooperates, and that they are pushing aside Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo González Urrutia. And I think that takes me to the second point. No, that takes me to the third point. But we're going to go back to the second point soon enough. I don't know what to think about Maria Corina and Edmundo that are like put aside of the plan, that they're not inside the plan as far as what it is being said to the public and to the press. They're not part of the plan. And I think it makes sense, because of course, everything that took us here was the fact that the 7 million people that voted for Edmundo González Urrutia actually voted for Edmundo González Urrutia, and that the team of Maria Corina Machado and her whole political party, with other political parties that are very questionable, actually got the actas out. So, with help of some military personnel, I presume, obviously, I firmly believe that if that hadn't happened, what happened on Saturday wouldn't have happened. And whatever's coming next, it is impossible to happen if those elections and if that massive democratic rebellion didn't happen. But, it's something that even Venezuelans we have criticized from Maria Corina Machado and Mundo Gonzalez is that they have bad company, and that company is Leopoldo Lopez. Some say also Antonio Ledesma, Miguel Pizarro, David Smolansky, and Freddy Guevara and Juan Guaido. Like, there's the shadow of this political party called Voluntad Popular that actually played with Trump's goodwill, because Trump supported Guaido, Trump supported all of them, and they stayed with the money and didn't do anything, and what he was supposed to do. Of course, he's not going to trust people like that, no matter how many prizes Maria Corina and Edmundo get. Nobel Peace Prize, okay, yeah, I think it's well deserved. I actually agree also that has given a lot of visibility to our cause. And but I also believe that Maria Corina, even though she says that just a little side of the military has to be removed, it's it's just, I think their approach is not the it's a very lax one. As a Venezuelan, as a common Venezuelan here, I hate so much the military. I think, and I'm telling you because my father was a military guy, and he was active until 2011, and that generation, they could have done something. They could have stood up. They could have, I don't know, removed these people from power, like make a division, make war, whatever, because the cost of that war would have been less than the one we have had to pay all these years under socialism and communism. But they didn't have the guts. They didn't have the initiative to gather, to organize themselves, and actually stand opposition against the Chavez regime and the Maduro regime. They didn't. They didn't, and I think they are to blame. And if you have that generation that started in the 1980s, I think so, how the hell are you going to trust the one that is now? As far as we know, there's people of 26, 30 years old in the military services that have seen nothing else besides this, and we don't know whatever education and morals they have, and I assume none. So they're not going to listen to Maria Corina with her motivational speeches, They're not going to listen to Mundo Gonzalez. Sadly, the military here in Venezuela is just another branch of the narco system here. So I think as a Venezuelan, that has to be wiped. Like, the armed forces here in Venezuela have to be wiped and they have to be eliminated, and we don't need them. And that takes me to, I think, no, not this one, not that point. That takes me to, well, I think we are still in the third point. Actually, we're still in the third point. There's people already saying that we should be the 51st state of United States of America. Of course, there's people that are against it, and it's a whole other conversation. But to sum it up, I think if it's the best for the country, if we're going to have a normal life, if we're going to be progressive, etc., we'll go for it, because our story, what has been sold to the Venezuelans, to the main Venezuelan population, and to the whole world, is this epic of Simon Bolivar freeing from the claws of the Spanish all this beautiful South American continent, whatever. But in reality, as the story that was taught to me at university, because we saw Ibero-Americans' whole history back then. And my teacher, a beloved teacher of mine, one of the best I had, he said that the social side, the social caste that Simon Bolivar belonged to actually didn't have the benefits that, for example, the natives had under the crown of the Spanish people back then. And they were actually resentful and they wanted to have power, and they saw the opportunity because Napoleon was doing his own thing in Europe. So they say, fuck it, let's gain power for ourselves. And they, of course, established the narrative of liberating the continent, or at least this part of the continent. And that's the narrative that won because they won. But the general thing, as being told, is that we didn't mind being Spanish people back then. And it shows. It shows because Venezuelans here so far, we have 26 years trying to get out of this fucking regime through the peaceful way. But that gets me to the second point, tankies and general lack of empathy. There's a bunch of communist crap outside saying, that should have been in the hands of Venezuelans. You should have let them resolve their conflict by their own. The oil, they're taking the oil, Americans, imperialism, whatever. And I'm so fucking angry, guys. I say it softly, but I'm so fucking angry. Who the fuck are you to speak of my country? Okay, Trump made it clear they are taking the oil. But one, during the democracy here, they had concessions. The oil they structured was theirs because it was the deal. And we Venezuelans got a side of that. And while we got a side of that, we were really happy. There was progress. We were the first country here in the world. At one point, the Bolivar was stronger than the dollar. The USA for Venezuela has been a great ally before. And so far, for 26 years, the Russians, the Iranians, the Chinese, the Cubans, all of them, and I dare say Argentinians, Brazilians, Ecuadorians, Bolivians, Peruvians, the European Parliament, UK, all of them have sucked from our resources in exchange of keeping quiet against the violations of human rights here in Venezuela. So, also the fucking Democrats. Fuck them. Fuck liberals of the United States. I dare say, as a Venezuelan, that all those people, even if they have democratic and far right governments right now, they owe us money. Argentinians owe us money. And I don't care if Cubans are under fucking dictatorship right now. They fucking owe me money. Because for 26 years, the Chavista regime, socialist regime, the narco-terrorist regime here in Venezuela has given daily millions and billions of oil barrels to them. I don't care if they have suffered. I want my money back. And the only way we're going to get that back is if we are under the United States wing. I want the Chinese to pay me too. Because when this is stabilized, they're going to say, Venezuela owes us money. It's like, no, mi amor. Mm-mm. You sided with terrorists. You sided with criminals. And you sucked from our fucking resources. You owe me money. You owe me time. You owe me a lifetime. So fuck you. That's one side. The other side of this second point is all the communist fucks crying for oil. But they don't cry. They didn't cry when I think over 200 people died in 2017 in peaceful protests because of Maduro's regime. the thousands of people that have been tortured and killed behind bars after being apprehended without any other reason and just by being opposition. They had no criminal record. Their only crime was being in the other side of the political spectrum. They didn't cry. They didn't whine like they're whining now when Nomar died. They haven't whined the feminist community. They have never whined about the crimes committed against the judge of uni. Search for her. Search for her. Her whole vagina and her whole butthole had to be reconstructed because of the brutality that was done against her. Even her uterus had to be removed because of the force that was like used to harm her like that. She was assaulted daily. Now she's behind bars, but in her own house. But they didn't whine back then for her. Neither for Linda Loaiza, and she was also brutalized by a member of the government, an enchufado as we call it. And the guy hasn't even set a foot in prison because he was an enchufado. There are girls suffering and being assaulted right now behind bars unfairly and without any fucking reason besides being opposition. Pregnant women. But they cry for the oil. Imperialism, the USA imperialism, etc. When the fuck are you going to cry about? You cry about resources, but you don't cry about the humanity of the Venezuelans. We don't matter. For anybody, we don't matter. We don't. I think it was Renio Torin, I think so. I don't know, but he said our worst curse for us Venezuelans was our oil, and it is. It is. Everybody rapes our land. Everybody. And that's for the tankies, you know? Venezuelan oil, US imperialism, fuck you. Or like we say here, mamame el huevo. And for the second part of this point, general lack of empathy. You know, today I woke up after 20 hours of sleep. After yesterday, because I listened to Trump yesterday, Saturday, and then fell asleep until 5 p.m. And I didn't fucking rest, darlings. I didn't. Okay? I was still tired. I was still afraid, shaken, fight or flight, etc. I only got restorative sleep today. 10 hours. And I woke up super reactive. Yesterday I was reactive. Everybody was reactive. All Venezuelans were reactive because you had one side, the fucking tankies, telling you how you're supposed to be feeling about the US imperialism and the oil, whatever. And on the other side, you have Republican morons that because you have in your ex account that is in the United States, they think you're a liberal bot because they cannot fucking understand a tweet. My account was suspended. My anonymous account was suspended because I said it was really horrible, that I couldn't feel happy because of fucking trauma. But I didn't put it like that. I said it's horrible, I feel dissociated. Because actually, I feel dissociated. When I heard the news of Maduro, I wasn't happy. I was dissociating. And I tweeted that, and a bunch of Republicans said I was a liberal bot. And some even said I deserved to be bombed. And it's like, bro, you're not fucking getting it. That your country, that our soldiers had to go to your country because you cannot solve your own fucking problems. Bitch, we're paying. Trump already said it. They're taking control of Venezuela. They're putting order in exchange for oil. And you know what? We fucking agree. But you better do a damn good of a job doing that because we're fucking paying. This is no fucking charity. We're paying. Jesus Christ. And I got suspended. Even though I am already suspended. You know why? Because Maduro banned X, banned Twitter. I cannot fucking enter without a VPN, but because of some some stupid American, and I'm going to say it, some stupid American. I know nobody, like, I know not all Americans are stupid, but because of some stupid American, I have my account banned. The lack of everything. Guys, you have to learn how to read. You know, we're already paisanos and whatever, but you have to learn how to read. Jesus. And it's not that I'm not thankful. I am thankful for all the people that voted for Trump. Because if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't be here, at least for a minimal chance of fucking hope and victory and a good future. But damn, the only ones that are celebrating are the ones outside Venezuela. Because they are the ones who can celebrate this little win. The ones inside Venezuela, we have still to survive, and now even worse. There are already colectivos on the street, terrorizing people and whatever. Because they prefer to terrorize people because they cannot fucking stand against the USA. And that's the fact. Yeah. And for all the tankies saying, the independence for Venezuela, whatever, I'd rather be a USA colony than being a Chinese colony, okay? It's maddening. Fucking horrible. But well, yeah, I'm angry because of that. But, I decided that I'm not going to engage in that kind of fight anymore. Okay, it's bad for my health. I'm only 26 and I don't want to die of a heart attack. So, just going to block people, you know? That beautiful button of blocking. Excellent. Thank you for whoever invented it. I love blocking people. And I'm going to start doing that. No, it's just fucking humanity, man. And I haven't even mentioned the champagne leftists of Spain. Fuck them. I unfollowed an influencer and movie critic because, okay, he can review movies and art, whatever, but all those artists are fucking communists and fuck them. Ugh. Ugh. Horrible. But yeah, that's my general sense. Fuck all communists that want to lecture me of my country. You haven't lived a quarter. In fact, you haven't lived a 5% of what I have lived in the past 26 years here inside Venezuela. You haven't. So fuck you, you entitled piece of shit. And also for my Republican friends, because you are my friends, okay? You are my friends. But dude, just take a moment to read the tweet and understand it, okay? Take a moment. Jesus. Yeah. But okay, that's I needed to get it out of my system. Let's go to the fourth point because we already covered the first three. Fourth point, street feels, stores, people, etc. So today I went out because since yesterday I had an itch of eating chocolate because of course comfort food, adrenaline, anxiety, whatever. And I had to get out today to get some supplies, which was the chocolate and some honey. And I got out, okay, and at least where I live, suburban area, it was really quiet, peaceful. Some shelves have been obliterated, emptied, but main things still were available like harina pan, eggs, meat, some veggies, rice, etc. Maybe unperishables were canned food were already like wiped out, but I cannot eat that because I'm a chronic migraine patient, so cannot eat anything canned like that. Canned coconut milk I can, but under special circumstances. Yeah, but it was really funny because I thought nobody's going to buy chocolate. Everybody's going to be focused on harina pan and I don't know, canned tuna. But all the sweet shelves were wiped out. I was like, what are people thinking about? And not even in one supermarket, in two supermarkets. I was like, "Ah." Inside the area, inside my area. I went to three supermarkets, and overall there was order here. Of course, some security guards were saying that it's different downtown in Avenida Urdaneta, Andrés Bello, Katia, whatever. It's havoc there, and with all reason, those are poor areas, and it's not so, and it's really sad to say it, but there's not so much order there. People are more reactive here, at least in El Cafetal. People are like a little bit more civil, you could say, or can keep order. But there, and with all the reason, guys, because everything's there. You have, well, the 4 de Febrero is there, Fuerte Tiuna is nearby, and yeah, a lot of things. Miraflores is also nearby, so of course it's going to be a fucking havoc there, and people are going to be stressed out and anxious and in survival mode. What I have closest is La Carlota, as I told you, but I didn't dare stepping closer there. I'm actually quite afraid. And I don't know what I'm going to do if we start working again, but I expect that the second attack comes soon enough. I don't think, and I think the Americans, the Trump administration, shouldn't wait that long in making the second attack, and they shouldn't trust a lot in Delcy Rodriguez. They all play their game, but they're also, at least the Rodriguez siblings, they were raised by guerrilleros and terrorists, so I wouldn't trust them so much. But anywho, that's Marcos Rubio's problem now, I could say, because at this point, and we have a lot of years at this point, the 28th of July elections was one last hurrah from the Venezuelan society inside Venezuela, but we have no power. Right now, we're the little kid whose parents are divorcing, and we're trying to see who's going to be with who's taking custody, as you might say, and Mother America wants it all. So we have no saying, and that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing that our freedom and our well-being depends of other people, but that's our reality, and accepting it's the only thing we have left. We have no power. People fear civil war here in Venezuela. Okay, civil war would happen if the two bands had arms, bullets, and whatever, but the only ones that have bullets are the narco terrorists. The civil society has no gun force, no bullets whatsoever. Okay? We don't. They made sure of that. So, Americans, Republicans, don't ever, ever take the Second Amendment away. I think the Second Amendment is the one of protecting your own house or whatever, okay? I'm not American. I don't know the amendment. I think it's the Second Amendment, so correct me in the comments if I'm right or wrong, but don't ever let them take that away from you, okay? Ever. I so much wish to have a gun with me. I wish it so much. And especially as a woman, because I cannot do anything against a man. Anything. My only chance of ever getting away from a dangerous situation is shooting the guy. Because I'm also really small. I'm like 159 meters. So, yeah, and I have no strength whatsoever. Like, I'm really weak, guys. At least in my arms, I'm really weak. But well, I think that's everything I have to say. Tomorrow, I think Maduro is going to be presented to, like, in the New York tribunal, whatever. And I think tomorrow Maria Corina is speaking. I think maybe tomorrow Trump is going to be speaking. a lot of things are going to be happening this week and the following days. But I do hope that if they're going to attack, they do it soon enough. Hopefully tonight. It's like, dude, do not wait for a goodwill of these people. They're never going to win. They're never going to give it. They're never going to do something with goodwill. They're going to play you. Of course, the ball is in Dulce's court, but I wouldn't trust it. Maybe she's going to destroy the ball. Because at the end of the day, they're narcos. They're fucking narcos. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts. Please, 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 pray for the people that live nearby those military targets and bases. I have the hunch that the second wave of attacks is going to be even more. It's going to be even harder because I think they're going to talk intelligence sites, and those are trickier. They can have a house and you don't generally have to know if that house is from the intelligence services here in Venezuela or not. So the only thing left is pray and hope that you don't live nearby one of those sites. So yeah, but please pray for the people that live nearby. Please pray for the good people here inside Venezuela that everything goes as smooth as it can. I'm not going to be the Lulu wishful thinking person, thinking that there are not going to be any civilian deaths. Of course, there are going to be civilian deaths, but if that's the cost of being free, what the heck, man? You can only just hope that it isn't you, because if it's God's will to take you, He's going to take you. So, whatever. I think at the end of the day, we have to be chill. Of course, easier said than done, but we have to be chill. What else can we do? Nothing. We can do fucking nothing inside here. So, well, please, guys, try to be as empathetic as you can. Of course, if you have any more doubts, speak with your trusted Venezuelan. I'm sure you have trusted Venezuelans that you know. So, yeah, that's my take. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in another entry. I wanted to have my Avatar Fire and Ash episode as the first published episode, but I think it's going to be this entry. So, whatever, guys. Take care. God bless.